Hello guys, I'm outside trying to figure out the torque wrench that I got. Of course it's a Harbor Freight torque wrench. I've always wondered how accurate it is. I got a little scared on a forum about tires falling off because of the bolts were being sheared off while driving, causing some problems. Most of the people are saying that the bolts are being sheared because they're being stretched due to over torquing. When you go to a mechanic shop, whatever the name it is, might run with boys, they use for most of the time they used the air guns to tighten the lug nuts. I seriously never seen anyone use torque wrenches on any tires. I've got some mounted recently on my car, and I said, well, I gotta check them out. I've done a lot of videos with the 80 here, but I'll do another one. It doesn't matter. It's all about torque wrenches and lug nuts anyway. So let's get to it. I've come up with the table of torque settings and a few tryouts that I did at different settings, 35, 45, 55, whatever, and just see what the deviation was for the again Harbor Freight torque wrench. And to my surprise, in a way a good surprise, it came out a little low, a little too low actually. So I never really over tightened, over torqued 4th of July. The lug nuts, but some may argue that they were dangerously low. Sometimes probably 10 foot-pounds lower than what they should be. So anyway, let's just dig into it. Okay, so this is what I came up with. Of course, it's all handwritten, nothing in Excel. Didn't have time for that. I tried it at 35, 45, 55 foot-pounds, 65 foot-pounds, and 75 foot-pounds. The calibration tool works between 25 and 147, I believe. And I had to stay between those values, and of course 75 being the closest one to Toyota specs for the alloy wheels there, and for my other car I think it's supposed to be at 86, but I didn't do one for 85. For some reason I'll go into it later. I didn't know, well, let's just do it now. I didn't know if the lug nuts were tightened too much or too low or whatever, so I said if they tightened to, let's say 86, if my 75 test should be okay, should be within that range there. So anyway, what I found, I did this one first actually. So what I found out for 75, I've got this list here, these readings, which turn out to be on the average 66.33 instead of 75, or roughly, well, between 10 and 11% off, again being lower. For 65 foot-pounds, I've got again lower readings, average being 58, just about 10% lower. For 55, again low, average of 50, 8% lower. 45, again lower, but well, 8.65% lower. For 35, it decreased. The discrepancy here decreased to, well, roughly 5%. Okay, so now I need to calibrate my torque wrench, which is right here. And let's see, Okay, here we go. This is the little guy that I got today. Got a 25% off coupon from Harbor Freight again. Seen some reviews on YouTube. This guy is pretty good. I think it was listed at $29.99, 25% off. Came out really good. So this is how I figured all this stuff out. On this car right here, I got the a breaker bar on it first and figure out what the torque was initially. Did some dry runs, and that helped out kind of knowing where the lug nuts are set initially, just so I know to stay below it. If your torque wrench sucks, you can definitely use this tool right here. It works perfectly on any car, actually. It's really awesome. Guess where I bought it from? Yes, Harbor Freight. All right, so I'm gonna go calibrate the torque wrench right here, and then hopefully I'll get lower errors percentage-wise, and I'll be well within a nicer ballpark for it. So I've unscrewed this nut right here. Okay, and now we'll tighten this part up a little bit at a time, and use the digital torque reader, I guess, and try to come within a closer range, lower error percentage wise there, and kind of do it by the ear, trial and error, I guess, probably more error. Alright, let's try it on again. Alright, so I had to replenish this tool right here. The downside of it is that it just runs out too quickly, so you always have to keep it fresh. So your mileage may vary here. Alright, so what I did, back to our topic here, put this thing back on after I tightened it up a little bit, again by the feel, by the ear. Put the digital reader again, and now I'm getting, I set it at 45, if this will ever focus. Maybe, it doesn't matter. I set it at 45 over here, and I'm reading really closely to 45. I came up with another sheet over here. I broke it down into 35, 45, 55, 65, 75, and 85. So we'll fill that one out and see how well I did. Again, there's no scientific method here for me. It's just that I turned a little thing in there as much as I thought, maybe half a turn. So we'll just get on with it. Let's turn it on first. Okay, it's on peak. It may beep a little bit before because I think the memory is set to 35. So let's see. Here we go. Just when this is 46. Just doing different ones here. Five, 6, and then we'll go into okay, let's, oh, the battery's low, I guess. Jeez, awesome. Alright, well, what a surprise. Alright, it's the original battery, got it today. That's all it lasted, so get some spares. I think I'm off to, well, my wife is gonna go over there, drive me to Harbor Freight, get some batteries. because I used that tool, so yeah. Okay, so I've proceeded with a second test after adjusting the tool here. Down with the second battery. The original one went out. This one went out too. So I still have to complete this block right here. I'm going to mount the third battery on, and we'll go from there. But the numbers look a whole lot better. If you look at them, see, for example, with the 75, they're all in the 60s, high 60s, I would say, mid to high 60s. But now they're all in the 70s. Okay, same thing here. 65, they're all in the 60s. 55 in the 50s, close to 55 there. 45 came out really good. 44.5, 44.6 I got here. 35s as well. So I guess it varies. Now it goes into giving me a plus error, whereas here there's a minus error. But I may not really adjust it too much. I may not tighten the spring inside too much, because if I do, the lower values will give me a bigger error. These may be more accurate. I did an 85 column here too, which gave me a variation between what, 79.1 and the highest would be 80.9. Okay, roughly, well, pretty close. So it tends to work better, I guess, in the mid section here, and as you get lower or higher, the error goes higher as well. So I only have one thing to tighten up on this guy with the torque. It's the oil filter, which need to be tightened up to 17 foot-pounds. Doing good right there, doing really good. So 17 foot-pounds would fall way into this category right here, so it may be giving me a huge error. Who knows, magnitude of, I don't know, 10%, 15%. So I may not really, and that's the only one that I need, actually. All I do with the wrench is mostly lug nuts on my Toyota, and this guy right here sometime. But I may just keep it right there and just bear in mind that I'm a little low when I tighten the lug nuts on those both cars, Toyota and the Beamer. So maybe just push a little more. Okay, I managed to squeeze the other readings in there. I'll do some calculations a little later and see what the percentages are. But see, like in the 40s here, it's just pretty close by. 50s. Again, midsection tends to be a little bit better. As you go lower, I guess it will, like 20. This thing is, I guess, supposed to work between 20 and 150. So what I'm using it for at 17, again, it may be a huge disappointment. I did some 78s here just for fun. That's what I came up with. Not too far off, which is kind of okay. But anyway, what's the moral of the story? I paid $10 for this thing on eBay. I didn't buy it from Harbor Freight. It's Pittsburgh. It's their brand, but I didn't buy it from Harbor Freight. A couple of years ago, 3 years ago, I forgot exactly when. Calibrated every year, as you're supposed to anyway. Whatever brand you have, calibrate it, make sure that it works within specifications. This thing, I think it's great. It just goes to batteries like crazy though. The batteries may not be all that good to begin with, who knows, I don't know. What else is important? Human error. Your angle grip on the tool. If you're in an angle like that, you introduce a lot more error. I tried as much as I could to have kind of a 90-degree angle between my arm and the tool. Any variation there can introduce some sort of human error. The grip on it, I try to have a really good grip right where the handle is marked. So again, try to reduce as much as I could anyway of the human error. So right there, right? I don't try to hold it, you know, like right in front of it or right at the end. I guess this mark right here, the shiny part, is where you're supposed to add, I hope, most of the pressure anyway. So a lot of things could affect the true reading. Your hand grip, the angle of your arm on the torque wrench, the torque wrench itself, not calibrating it. So I guess these things cannot really be 100% accurate. Maybe in a lab setting you could set them up that way, you could calibrate them to be very accurate within, who knows, maybe 1 or 2% margin error. Anyway, these things are extremely accurate. They do well every time. Any car, no matter what brand, the torque is perfectly fine on them. It's got some rubber on the magnets over there. It won't scratch or mar the paint or anything like that. Way too many cars here anyway. So it, you know, it works on all of them. I tried it on all of them. Very, very, very accurate. That thing, not so much, but it is what it is. At least now I have an idea where I'm at. Whereas before I was kind of shooting in the dark there, and I was well below. But anyway, I adjusted it a little bit. I'll keep it right there. I don't want to introduce way too much error, I guess, on the lower setting. I may end up getting another one, maybe a 3/8 drive for the lower setting. You know, some smaller torque wrench just to use for this guy here. But alright, so got back inside the house here, and I've tabulated all this stuff. Now on the lower setting, 35, 45, 55, it looks like we're getting, well, this is over, okay, the rating of 35 by 1.04%, and this would be under. Okay, this is the average right here, 36.47, 44 instead of 45, 53, 38 instead of 55. The percentages are pretty good though. The margin of error given by the manufacturer is plus or minus 4%. So right here we're pretty good. Even with a 65 rating, we're still pretty good. Just slightly under. On the higher setting, it looks like we're getting a little bit above average. I'm talking about average percentage though, 5%. So we're still under slightly. Again, I can maybe increase it a little more, make this more accurate, and then maybe this will go into the 2 to 4%, let's call it, margin of error, and keep this one more accurate. Not sure if the battery played any role here. As the battery was going down, the readings here, the lower settings right here, could be more erroneous. I have no idea about that for the little tester that I had. So again, there's a lot of error that can be introduced at every step of the way. So again, take this with a grain of salt, and just, again, you have to really be very picky to be extremely accurate. But this is, I guess, satisfactory for what I'm doing anyway. I'm not doing any kind of precision work, just weekend mechanic stuff. That won't really hurt too much. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been a fun project for me today. At least I learned a couple of things about the error, where I was, what I need to do. Maybe I'll get a little smaller torque wrench for the lower settings, and Happy 4th of July. Yeah, it's still daylight. People are just celebrating. And I might just push a little more on the torque wrench, knowing that I'm reading a little bit below, but I just don't want to really mess it up there too much. So anyway, again, please calibrate your torque wrenches. Make sure that you are within spec. I heard at least once a year you have to do it. Get one of those, maybe better ones, more expensive ones from other stores, other brands. Hopefully the battery will last a little longer on the other electronic devices there. This one, well, it does some things. Again, it may introduce some error. It may not. It may be really accurate. I don't know. But again, for whatever I paid, I think I'm getting a pretty good value. I've seen other brands going into hundreds of dollars, and they are pretty dead on. We'll see about that. Anyway, thanks for watching again, and see you in the next video.